Welcome back. Almost halfway through the day, we're in the middle of the second match of Day 2 at ESL 1 Manila 2016. It is the elimination match of Group B. Team Secret currently standing up 1-0 against EHOME. EHOME fighting for their life with one last breath as they try to take this to a Game 3 in this best of. Earlier here at the panel with Gods, Purge, and Merlini, we talked about, just how, if you're going to win with that draft with the draw on Secret, you're going to win in that fashion. They pulled it off very well. They seem to be just on point in terms of how their team played. EHOME, on the other side, seemed to let it slip a little bit. You guys mentioned that it's not entirely on the draft. It could have still been done, but the mistakes in-game added to that fell through. So then here, do you expect or want to see any big changes to begin with from the draft? Would that just make it easier for EHOME, do you think? Or do you think Secret would be just as well prepared against that?
I think adjusting the draft a little bit is definitely important because Secret, for example, had two people that could potentially space create on support, both Align and Earthshaker. Both are very good at getting kills, and both of those two players can easily make those calls and find those good kills on their own volition. So EHOME, maybe, like God said earlier, maybe needs to go less greedy. If it's Doom, it's harder to get those ganks off. You can't really do it solo +1. It kind of works, but it can be iffy depending on the hero. Maybe go two roaming supports similar to what Secret did. Then you don't leave that opportunity available where you get punished by those two roaming supports, and you can't do the same in exchange.
And Doom was their first pick too. They didn't get much out of that hero.
Right.
So I think that was saying Secret recognized, like, they first picked this Doom, they want to use it to fight into us, let's not go greedy. So let's not pick up the jungling here, let's not pick up the Channer and the Enchantress. Yeah, they got banned out later on, but it wasn't like a first two pick Puppy Chen or Enchantress.
Right, yeah, it seemed like EHOME had a very clear, maybe a little bit too blatant of an idea of what they were showing. Ben, what were your thoughts?
I think that EHOME need to focus way more on the lanes. I think the Nature's Prophet never really felt any pressure in the lane. It's like a Winter Wyvern and a Bristle. He can just TP out under pretty much any circumstance, was free to get his level 2 and just start TPing around. And I think that's where it starts. You need to secure your safe lane, and then, like, on the flip side, like the Bat Rider was trying to handle the Drow Ranger and the Lion and just never could really start doing anything. So focus on the lanes. They were relying way too much on like Doom to get some levels, Bat Rider to get his Blink Dagger, and by that time the game was almost already lost. So focus way more on the first 10 minutes of the game.
Okay, maybe take some smaller steps for EHOME. Secret, meanwhile, have to be feeling good. There were a lot of questions after yesterday. Not necessarily long-term, but just within this weekend. Maybe it is too early, just only a few games, not much time. But today they're showing up and at least proving that the potential that a lot of the fans, a lot of the community thought this team had is definitely there. It's just a matter of how fast they can tap into it consistently to prove themselves as a roster. And now up against EHOME, it's all eyes on EHOME now, whether they can take it to a Game 3 or not, or whether Secret's going to cruise into the decider match of Group B. Now, for Secret then, do you think, because you won so handily, are you just pretty happy? You just kind of wait to see if EHOME changes anything and then think about adapting? Or are you like, all right, we're in the lead, let's kind of take this confidence and continue to adapt first and try to put EHOME, on the back foot constantly?
To me, the reason they did well in Game 1 was because they didn't feel it. They're the ones who decided how the game would play out based on their draft. I think you don't want to be the ones reacting or responding in terms of draft. If you're drafting the counter pick, then in the end result is often your draft doesn't come together, have a clear win condition to take the game. So first priority should always be drafting around what you want to be playing, and secondary should be counter picking, or your counter pick should be your bans more than anything.
Right. All right, well, we are going to see this time, basically flipped Secret going ahead and taking that Doom on the Radiant side. The bans coming in. This time we do see the Invoker being banned out. Not going to be let through in this draft phase.
So that'll let bounty through, depending on...
They don't play bounty that often, though.
That could be really abusable for Secret then. If they don't pick it, then Secret gets potentially two top-tier heroes.
They fulfill much of the same role, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of hard to do both, definitely. Yeah. But you could do offlane Doom.
All right, well, statistically speaking, EHOME perhaps in a little bit of danger in how they have to adapt from the first phase right away in Game 2.
Yeah, looking at EHOME's prior draft style, they banned Bounty Hunter in about 90% of their games, but they haven't picked it up.
Well, surely a lot of teams going into this tournament had some anti-bounty strats. Like, if you got a top hero like that, you figure out a way to beat them, and then you let it squeeze through sometime, maybe.
Right.
Their anti-bounty strat is to pick Bounty Hunter this time.
Okay.
And it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, left it open, take it for themselves. The Death Prophet does return for EHOME.
I like the synergy. Bounty track on heroes makes Death Prophet run even faster, so if the stuns are a bit weak, coming out of Secret can be very survivable for her.
I think this time they have much better kill potential too in the mid lane, even starting at level 1 with the Spirit Siphon and just a Wind Walk with the Orb of Venom. Like I think last game, like Doom can run around with Infernal Blade, but it was Secret that made the first move. I think a lot of it just dictates about which support actually pressures the lane first.
I do kind of like Doom as a DP counter as well. It's not just about preventing her Exorcism from coming out, but his Infernal Blade does percentage-based damage, and she usually buys a lot of HP items, so it can be really nice scaling into the late game as well. They just
Counter? Buy no HP.
Excellent
Be as
choice.
squishy as possible as Death Prophet. That's the
just all evasion
meta.
and mana, I guess.
get hood.
Resistance.
Just
Yeah.
go
It's
hood.
pure damage, isn't it?
The Infernal Blade.
Infernal Blade's
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah,
Is it?
Infernal
Okay.
Blade is magic.
Triple cloak.
The hardest counter there is.
Lion picked up by Secret again. No surprise there.
I think for Secret, the key thing, again, not to be too greedy. You're versing a Bounty Hunter. There's going to be this pressure onto the mid lane with Bounty plus Death Prophet. Make sure you have just a solid support duo. You don't have 3 cores who all need some farm. You're going to have at least one of your core players on a hero that can get involved early, take fights, move around the map. You don't want to have 3 very static, passive farming lanes.
It is kind of interesting to see Puppey potentially playing the Doom though, because he usually does play very sacrificial roles, and like I talked about in the last game, Lion does usually get lane farm with Envy switching to the jungle, but will he continue to buy wards? Normally it would be Puppey buying it. It might adjust their early game playstyle a bit. Last game they didn't do that at all. It was just all about killing heroes. They really didn't worry about, they're like, we don't even need a Blink Dagger. We just need to get kills and potentially 22 of them and limit your deaths below 4, and that usually wins games.
Yeah.
Except when you're throwing games.
Yeah, it can come back. You never know.
Yeah. Well, so far so good though. Do you think there's still going to be the same fear from EHOME against the likes of the Chen and the Enchant? I mean, last time there was a huge focus to Wisp ban from the first one and then going with the Enchant and the Chen right away. Do you expect to see that this time, or do you think EHOME's going to just kind of let it slide and see what else they can pick up for themselves?
In the past, you have Bounty Hunter, you're not afraid of the Chen or the Enchantress, but we're seeing the new camps being added so that the Chen and the Enchantress can often play keep away, so there may be a little bit of worry. I think the Chen perhaps a bit scarier just because it's more Puppey's signature hero, but I think given the fact you have Bounty, they're just not going to worry too much about the junglers.
Yeah, I think they could do either, honestly. I don't think it's a big deal. Universe can play Enchantress offlane. It could hypothetically be
Yeah, that's true.
Puppey, and they could put Doom on Universe. Creeps harassing the mid lane. Death Prophet's fairly susceptible to that, especially being on the dire side. You can easily just wrap it around, whereas ganking Radiant mid is a little bit harder with the creeps.
All right, well, Enchant first up on the ban chopping block.
Yeah, Witch Doctor being banned out for Team Secret, I think they're scared of maybe their offlane being a little bit too weak, and by the same token, they want to ban out the strong supports so that Universe can have an easier time there. Of course, they could put Doom there, but I think that Witch Doctor and Vendor are probably the 2 strongest zoning supports, and this frees up Bounty Hunter to help out the Death Prophet a little bit more. So they want to secure at least 2 or 3 lanes, and Team Secret are just making to look their offlane much stronger than EHOME safe lane.
It's a good idea too, because if your offlane is not easy to kill, like if Secret has a survivable offlane, that means he'll put more pressure on the carry, which is going to force more rotations that way. So even if Universe doesn't necessarily rotate that much, just forcing the supports to be there to zone him is going to create less pressure on the map, and it's going to make it easier to predict Bounty Hunter. Whereas if Bounty Hunter can go wherever he wants, like let's say Universe has to fall back into the jungle, then it makes it easier for EHOME to play their game. So limiting their strong supports, at least in terms of laning, could be a big advantage that Secret can exploit.
All right, well, the Chen also being taken out, so no change there for EHOME. And now back to rounding out their own roster, seeing what their strengths are going into game number 2 against Secret.
Very patient picking this tournament, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like it normally goes a bit faster. Although it is the start of the tournament, usually you'll see the meta definitely change from the start to the end. But will it change that much in 2 days? That's the real question.
Yeah, not too much time, not too many games.
Wow, that's...
Okay.
Very rarely will that be picked up, unless there's a Darkseer. I've been kind of saying it since the hero came out. It's okay, it's not amazing. It has some good aspects to it. It's pretty good with Death Prophet because you can amplify the heal she does. But
Even if Death Prophet's going to die, it keeps her life that extra bit longer to maximize her exorcism damage output too.
But honestly, she can heal through so much just with Spirit Siphon plus a couple nukes on Oracle. It makes a big difference.
Does mean they have like no stuns, no control right now. Something they're going to have to remedy with their offlaner or their support.
And you can stop damage with Fate's Edict, whether that's line or whatever. So it's definitely a good combo with Death Prophet. But past that, I feel like Oracle does have a lot of issues. Kind of weak at ganking. You're fairly item independent. You can't farm super fast unless you're occasionally pushing lanes with Purifying Flames. So sometimes it's a little hard to get farm. They make up for that with Bounty Hunter though. So if they do get fight wins, they're going to be in a really good spot. But I'm a little unsure if they can get to that point.
Yeah. I'm always dubious of Oracle. It has one of the worst win rates of any commonly picked hero. It's something like down like 43, 44% on the current patch, and that's it just doesn't really play towards the tempo of the patch where it's just a passive laning support. Like other heroes that fit that role, like Witch Doctor, just get a bit more done. They have an ultimate with a bit more like firepower. And Oracle is just purely defensive in nature.
I see her like pretty successfully when they used like the nuke into Fortune's End into another nuke and then combine with like a Bounty Hunter Shuriken. I think that's like a lot of front-loaded damage. That's very, very typical of an event. Like Doom actually suffers against that sort of burst-heavy lineup where you can't actually Scorched Earth because you're just dead in that time frame. Also, it duels as like a defensive toolkit for the Death Prophet. Like we already mentioned, generally it's like Avenge or Winter Wyvern like we saw last game, but I think it can be played very, very offensively.
And one other thing that the Oracle pick does do is it sort of prevents against a secret Bat Rider. It's one of the really good solutions from a support aspect that counters Lasso. You can cast the ulti, you can cast Swap, for example. Avenge is gone. Maybe that's the path they're going with Oracle there.
Or the Darkseer you mentioned. You said you normally see Oracle like after a Darkseer. That's one of Universe's best heroes. So.
Yeah. I mean, Beastmaster is still better in my opinion at the moment. Vision, ganking. Once they get a gem, it'll be way easier to find Bounty Hunter when they're looking through jungles.
Even finding Oracle, because often Oracle's role in a team fight is to sit back and fog, not get caught out, so make sure you get the false promise on your Death Prophet. If you catch the Oracle, even if you're just forcing Oracle to false promise himself, then you're in a good position in terms of the team fight.
That's a good point. Now things change a bit. So with the Tiny pick, be Tiny versus Beastmaster in lane. That's kind of good for Beastmaster, I would say. Unless the bounty gets behind you and lets them catch up. But.
It's a ton of burst though. Like all their heroes have just lots and lots of burst. I wonder if it's going to be Lanham on the Tiny though. Usually 11 plays it, but looks like he's probably going to be Old Chicken plays it, but he's going to be on Death Prophet, it seems.
Oracle pretty good against lane as well. You can remove the disables there.
Really feels like EHOME want to hit this like mid-game timing where they're just going to keep going for kills, use the burst damage that Ben talked about to just keep finding pick-off after pick-off.
All right. Well, Quap coming out for Secret. I mean, is there any fear that on EHOME's that maybe it's a little bit too much, all their eggs in one basket? Going with this draft so far?
It can be. If they get behind and Secret has more tankiness than their burst can deal with, then they just lose.
Like, track gold, man.
Well,
that's if you can kill them.
Yeah, you get track gold to get kills. The only hero they have right now to get kills is really Tiny. So if Tiny has a bad start and gets a late Blink Dagger, I feel like they're in all kinds of trouble.
Unless Oracle, Bounty Hunter do some amazing things.
Yeah.
It's possible, but they're also now lacking disables, which is one reason I think they picked up the Quap. Because no matter where the Bounty shows up, if Quap has ulti, you're probably going to be able to kill the Bounty Hunter in the early game. So they will get some return kills. Not to mention she can jump on the Oracle in the back line, force him to do stuff to Quap either nuking or trying to save himself. And it's going to give them some much needed mobility. They've actually got really good mobility on Secret at the moment, way more than what EHOME has.
They also have very self-sufficient heroes. This way Doom can, kind of just stay in the jungle without worrying too much about the lanes. Like having a silence on a Death Prophet is not going to come until way later. So Queen of Pain should be, scot-free for first 3 or 4 levels. Beastmaster, one of the strongest off-laners in the game right now, can easily go to the jungle. So this Doom doesn't really have to worry about protecting his lanes.
Wow.
That's Lanham used to play this hero a lot back in the DK days.
I mean,
as a support.
He even picked it a couple times in the previous version of EHOME. At the major, they picked a lot of Abaddon and Tree and stuff like that. So
they would even run it in that EHOME team sometimes as an offlaner, which is what we're going to be seeing here. This pick,
I like it a lot. Remove disables.
But it overlaps with the Oracle a bit.
Is that a bad thing?
I mean it's just more insurance, right?
Yeah.
You can pump out Death Coils on like a 6-second cooldown. That's a 500 HP heal on your core every 6 seconds. Like you could even justify maxing or missed coil on Abaddon in this game.
They still cannot afford to fall behind. But if they get like a good start, they start 5 many taking down towers, I feel like they're going to be in a good position.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, meanwhile, Secret rounding it out with OG. We talked a lot about EHOME. I mean, obviously the focus on them to try to bring it back. Quick thoughts on Secret's roster. I mean, do you think they're pretty happy? I mean, it's just a matter of, hey, if we play our best, we're going to win?
They got a comfort pick, OD for Arteezy as their last pick.
They're changing things up, though. We see EE on the Queen of Pain. This isn't something that we've seen for a very long time. I would probably venture to say, back when he was on Cloud9. So they're exploring much different strategies.
Only problem with Secret's picks is they got every hero they wanted, pretty much. So it might turn out bad. Sometimes that's an issue.
Yeah, it's very true. You got to watch out a little bit, getting too comfortable perhaps. But right now, Secret leading 1-0. EHOME getting that insurance with the Abaddon and the last pick. See if they can pick up a win to go to game number 3. Again, EHOME fighting for their life in this one game. Let's find out as we go into the game with our commentators.
Time and time again, we've seen teams when their backs are against the wall, they'll throw us a curveball, and sure enough, a lot of Abaddon coming out from EHOME is definitely something to switch it up. Jacob, how you feeling about this?
I'm excited to see how they're going to lane this as well. It's not just the tiny Abaddon pick, but that ties into how they're going to lane it.
I sort of think that you just said things kind of standard. You can even go for safe lane Tiny and just offlane the Abaddon and have the Bounty Hunter roam around. With the Tiny, you have some crowd control. You've got the instant lockdown that we saw was so necessary. But I mean, Secret, the Beastmaster's going to have a rough time just because of the Abaddon. I'm not really sure.
Look at this. They're already cutting down the trees. So, Old 11, the plan is here to pull that off-lane camp, toss one of the creeps, the big creep preferably, into the creep wave to pull it in. To be a nice abuse of this off-lane camp that we haven't seen too many players take advantage of.
Yeah, so what you're saying is it's an off-lane Tiny. He has the boots first, and he's going to go down and just remove the creep wave in its entirety.
Yeah, and that's a safe lane Abaddon, which is something I don't see very frequently, if at all.
So we're in for a treat. How are they going to kill him?
Hey, it's going to be hard, but...
I mean, even the death pro, like those two cores are going to be so difficult to kill in this game, right? Between all the sustain that EHOME has.
Yeah, but for sure, but...
The problem is just the damage output, right? And the control.
Don't really...
EHOME just start running at Secret here in the very first fight over the Battle Room. Nice double impale from Pylon Die, already started things out right. They did get the Battle Room. They might even get the first one as well. Artur, he doesn't have a prayer, getting out of that one alive with the Spirit Siphon, slowing him down. Secret took the fight and they lost. EHOME already in a good position in this game number 2.
And they actually got both boundary runes as well.
I think I saw from Nahaz or something like that, it was 60% if you got both the bounty runes because of how strong it is, right? You're able to just set up 2 lanes at once. As a result, and your mid laner is going to be in a significantly worse position.
Old 11, not a Bat Rider, but he'll still cut behind the tier 1 tower and pick up the creep wave, knowing that the Secret supports wouldn't be there to stop him.
They're going to go for this dual lane too. At top.
So this is probably the right idea, right? In order to deal with the idea of the Tiny being able to pull via tosses, they actually run sort of an aggro lane and put some pressure on the Abaddon relatively early.
Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty decent idea just because it also forces the bounty hunter up here and your Beastmasters should do fine at bottom, especially since it's Universe. Kind of like the king of one-on-ones in the off lane. As he already has a Calling Blade, the Tiny does have a decent amount of base damage, but the downside is that this Tiny expected to play against 3 heroes, so he doesn't really have that stat heavy of a build, not even having a salve, whereas the Beastmaster are fully prepped for this one-on-one matchup.
Yeah, the Stout Shield coming in, making that difference as well, in armor as well, so every hit they trade will always go in Universe favor. There is, of course, the Bounty Hunter.
Why Ice needs to help out Old 11 here. They are going to throw out that Avalanche finally and get a couple more right clicks in, but just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do this. They still have the toss, but that would be a dangerous play, trying to toss the Bounty Hunter into that tier 1 tower range. So Universe does get back, pops a healing salve. Still be good for this lane.
Not a lot of opportunities so far for either team. It's just the Bounty Hunter trying to be as annoying and pesky as possible. As the Queen of Pain, not even going to go for the level of the Shadow Strike, opting not to trade any sort of hits with the Death Prophet, as the Spirit Siphon is so good.
CS game is looking a bit better for Secret, with the Queen of Pain getting so much farm in the top lane. Will now find her Generation Rune. Starts heading toward mid.
Tiny without IO, the 39% win rate, not even very good. Especially offlane Tiny, something that we don't see very frequently. He is picking up a good amount of levels though, old 11.
Then again, what is the win rate percentage when an Abaddon is carry? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's even more,
Think
even
this
more
is
of
the
a rare
first-
sight.
This is the first time I'm casting it anyways.
Have to harken back to the times where Loda was playing it
Yeah, it's been
like that.
quite a long time.
It's been a while. I'm especially interested in seeing how it combos into the mid game with the Oracle. Are we going to see this kind of new imbalance where you just can't kill anything?
I mean, I think that's the game plan, right? Is EHOME want to be able to pump up their cores, make it really difficult for anybody to die and just run it secret repeatedly. Use the Abaddon to make sure that the Doom doesn't really do a lot. The Abaddon can't really die to the Doom either, just because you always have to borrow time, right? So you're in an okay position, and if anybody else gets doomed, you can just Aphotic Shield repeatedly. And you've got the Arc Warden, but we have seen, or the Oracle, and we have seen though, when you put too much into just keeping those two cores alive and not picking that many disables, that's kind of the trap that Secret themselves fell into yesterday.
Which kind of leads us into perhaps Old 11 must have a good laning phase for him to be much more of a factor, for him to be able to output enough damage to make up for the heavy sustain that EHOME invested in.
Yeah, because of the support from the Bounty Hunter, he's fine so far, and he gets to control the rune as well.
He's going to go for Universe here. He's going to be able to easily land this Avalanche. Just goes for the toss straight upwards. He's going to try and run him down underneath his tier 1 tower. Does have the haste rune. It should be easily enough. And will end up going down underneath the tower, but it's still fine.
Claiming the experience for kill on the Beastmaster is really all he was looking for there. Wrap around here behind Old Chicken, who supports, popping their head out, realizing that Old Chicken is already far enough back. The gank not going to be successful. And they can feel free to leave Artur alone at this top lane.
Not a whole lot that they can do to this top lane. That's the one downside of the Abaddon carry, is that he doesn't have the best kill potential whatsoever. Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to run at them? He can always just astral himself. Killing mid is going to be difficult because of the fact that it's the Queen of Pain. So if you just look at the layout of the map, it's pretty much this Beastmaster that I think EHOME want to take advantage of.
Do you expect him to max Miscoil over the Curse of Avernus?
I still think Curse of Avernus is so good, because when you want to hit towers as well, and I think this is meant to be kind of a fighting core, it's a lot better than a Miscoil is.
And then with the lack of disables, they'll take all the slow they can get.
Yeah, exactly.
Bottom lane, Ice is setting up. This does seem to kind of be a trend. You brought it up, and I kind of want to hit back on it. The fact that Bounty Hunter picked up in the draft, ends up at the end of the draft being left with essentially only one lane that he can really put pressure on. It feels like it's really obvious to read the Bounty Hunter's movements when you shore up two of your lanes so much.
Alternatively, he could go top and try to mess with the OD, but there's no guarantee of a kill there, especially with Puppey and Pylai roaming around. So I think this is just the higher percentage kind of harassment that they can make work, and Eternal Envy is going to take the top DD rune.
Wins the foot race unknowingly against Ice.
But they must have known this going into this game, that they are heavily reliant on levels. As you see top lane.
Fenrir is going to be run down by Puppey. He doesn't care. They know that EHOME are unlikely going to be able to TP and really punish this one, but they're in so deep, and it took them a really long time to actually kill Fenrir. Now they get the Hex onto Old Lanham. They're actually going to be able to burst it down with the ultimate. He gets off the Aphotic Shield, but it doesn't matter. One more right click, and he finishes them off. They're deep underneath this tower, and Old 11 is here with an extra bit of revenge. They claim one core kill, and looks like should be able to run down Pylai as well. He's out of options. He's just buying more and more time as a game of Ring Around the Rosie commences, but has to end eventually.
Still, they managed to be able to pick up the kill on the OD, as Arteezy is going to go down into the tower. The Tiny gets a lot of gold out of that. As a result of that rotation, he's going to pick up his level 7, and that burst damage is quite a lot, as they're going to sandwich Puppey.
Ice, and a TP in. Might be able to get some sort of return fire here. Old 11 not going to be saved, but they do get their turnaround kill on a Puppey and start right-clicking Universe, but I think he realizes he can win this
even if it is 1v2, he's got some extra backup with our TZ.
So the good trade-off here is that the Bounty Hunter is getting some level and, of course, farm as well. He's almost 6, and once they get that level 6, as well as 6 on the Abaddon, they probably want to start taking these fights.
Almost there. And Astral Imprisonment, such a short range.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to point out, is that even though it's just 2 for 2 trade-offs in these engagements, Ice is picking up so many levels. He's already going to hit his level 6 at 8 minutes. I think last game when we were talking amongst ourselves, we were saying even at 10 minutes, if you were to pick up the level 6 track on the Bounty Hunter, you'd still be in a really good position. And for him to have it this early on with the Tranquil Boots as well, already having the headdress, a much more successful game for Ice.
Which means our first rotation of the Bounty Hunter with this smoke. I'm presuming he's going to be joining someone else. It looks like the Oracle for the time being. They're going to head to the mid lane, where currently EHOME are trying to put some pressure on that tier 1 tower. It's not quite enough to take it, though, only bringing it down to half health.
Yeah, I think Old Chicken wishes he had mana so he could clear out the creep wave real fast and go hit the tower with Tiny standing. Ready for the TP in, though, Old 11.
Radiant structures are fortified.
They want to see if they can get this surprise jump on somebody, but at the same time, Puppey and the rest of Secret are beginning to close in on this mid lane, hoping to be able to punish EHOME for sitting so far forward. Old 11 is actually in a kind of a nasty spot. He does get spotted out here. Ice is going to be able to help him out, but it might be too late. The Primal Roar goes down, and Old 11 is definitely dead. Team Secrets, they don't stumble into that tiny positioning and end up being able to scout him out and punish him.
Dire's top tower is under attack
for being so far forward.
Yeah, and Pylite Dai desperately needs levels in this game. 0, 1, and 2 hasn't really been able to accomplish nearly as much as the support duo on the other side is Ice, just throwing out tracks. And Secret already going for this mid tower as this aggressive blink forward.
Fenrir tries to save himself, but of course that's pure damage from RTZ. Ice going to be the next target, already impaled up. Sonic Wave goes out, and they just pop him. He gets off the Shuriken, but it doesn't seem to be enough. Old Chicken can't really stop and win this fight without the exorcism, as Lanham isn't going to be able to help him out. Looks like Old 11 gets the toss up in the air, but it's not enough to kill the OD, while Lanham is eventually going to take out from this Doom, and Old Chicken is just being kited around. The OD, who did not die to the Tiny, turns around and kills him instead, and EHOME, they lost everyone in that fight.
Yeah, that's the problem with this lineup from EHOME. They don't have any control at all, especially not with the Tiny being down. And then on top of that, the Doom going off on the Abaddon, and of course being able to Astral him had he had an ultimate up. It's almost too easy for Secret to just do whatever they please in these team fights.
Yeah, what's important to remember about track kills is, first, you actually have to get the kills. It's not nearly enough to just have this hero kind of just walk around, throw out tracks. You want to at least have somewhat even engagements, but Secret not giving up a single kill makes that
and they were prepared for the Bounty Hunter with the Sentry Ward as well.
Yeah,
he went down
under the tower. Like, this is... the game is still in its infancy. Nothing has really been too definitive quite yet. Secret have taken some control, but EHOME could just as easily turn things around. They have a lot of burst damage coming their way, and all it takes is 2 or 3 track kills.
Or perhaps, well, that could be led into by a bad initiation from Secret. They're looking to be able to get some sort of Primal Roar kill, but they do have Lanham now. They pop out of their whole EHOME, hoping to be able to catch somebody here, but they're missing everything. Nothing claimed there from EHOME. We talked about the lack of disable. Shuriken not going to go out. Ice is still trying to hunt here. EHOME, they can overrun the tier 1 tower, but it doesn't mean much if they don't actually get any hero kills. Pylite Dai is even going to be able to TP out. No track kills whatsoever. Secret are not giving up anything for free.
You can just see how desperate EHOME is to engage and get in on them, passing by the tower, just running at them, but there's nothing to do with. Tiny doesn't get off an avalanche. There's just no way of catching them. He doesn't even have a disable hero to toss in on them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out too, is I was looking at this lineup and thinking, who does he even toss? Like, does it even matter? Maybe he tosses the Abaddon in and he gets a few hits of the Curse of Avernus. Maybe that's your best option here at this rate, but this just does not look like the...
Oh, don't forget Ice. A short memory there as that counter ward catches him out once again.
And EHOME, in these last 2 games, they just kind of look out of sorts right now. And it doesn't even feel like Secret is playing exceptionally. It's just EHOME are being a little bit sloppier than I'm used to them being.
Eternal Envy. There's a nice little 1-inch blink there, just to be able to recover some mana from RTZ's aura. Lanham, I think EHOME realized that they've lost way too much ground at this point. They can't really take a straight up fight, so not trying to defend that tier 2. Lanham's just going for the split push at bottom lane.
Yeah, these two games have just shown so far that EHOME just... I question both their team play and their strategy. Their
Radiant's
picks is
bottom tower
completely
is
off the
under
wall, and that was
attack.
something I loved about them in Frankfurt, that they just went with their own style, but it was also something where it had a lot of synergy and it made a lot of sense. They could put on this early game aggression and take it to the other teams. With these
Dire's top
lineups,
tower is
it's
under
like they insist on
attack.
picking the support that is a saving support. You know, it can go in and heal or keep them alive and so forth, but it has no real damage output. And this lineup is just all over the place. With
Another smoke and potentially another failed initiation from EHOME. A secret. They're just tracking it back here. Old 11 is going to go for the toss forward here on the Bounty Hunter. Missed impale. Highlight die. Oh, turn around here from Eternal Levy. Gets on big Sonic Wave. The silence follows him up. They're going to try and track down Eternal Levy as much as possible. They just can't keep him one place. Now the turnaround. Arteezy drops a hammer. Able to take out 2 ones. The only surviving member, but he's losing intelligence and losing it faster than you can even see. Highlight die. He finally goes down, but it doesn't really matter. He trades away his life for a guaranteed kill on Old Chicken. A 1-for-5 exchange. And Secret seem unstoppable, just like game number 1.
To add insult to injury, they didn't even get a track kill for that 1 kill. So even then, I don't even know how you justify that if you're on the side of EHOME right now.
I mean, I'm sure you don't. 4 kills, giving up that. It was just a display of what we just saw in the bottom lane. Them running at them and having nothing to catch them with. The Avalanche didn't hit again, and just nothing they can really do to keep Secret in its place. They have a Queen of Pain that blinks around freely. There's not going to be any point in time of this game where this Queen of Pain is going to feel threatened.
Yeah, she has so much HP from the drums too, and something pretty funny is that they took our advice. They tried to toss the Janata Bounty Hunter to maybe set things up, but what are you going to do against a Doom?
I mean, the posterity of that statement alone just describes what this strategy can and cannot do.
Yeah, the situation does not look good for EHOME right now, as they just don't have that instant jump that they need to maybe start a decent fight for themselves.
Secret staying relatively huddled up here around the mid lane. Pilot Eye always sitting behind Eternal Levy, being his guardian angel, waiting for a potential initiation from EHOME that he can respond to. But EHOME, all they're doing is just scouting out the Radiant jungle. Eternal Levy is going to come in with his haste rune. Silence doesn't mean much. He's got 522 movement speed, so Eternal Levy just keeps on running at them. Spirit Siphon easily cut off there. And Eternal Levy just feels like he's kind of toying with EHOME because he knows there's no hard disables to make him fearful.
Went for a Hood of Defiance so that he can easily survive through Tiny, knowing that there's no other disable.
Puppey's going to be target here. They will be able to slow him down. Puppey is going to be eaten alive here by the Exorcism. The track bounces over to Eternal Levy and Secret.
So I guess that's the only pseudo disable they have except for Tiny. Fortune's End.
Yeah, it's not the most reliable thing, and as the game progresses, it might not be what you exactly want to do, but still, a kill is a kill at a point like this. And aggressively
jumps forward. Imprisonment with the Exorcism still out. Old Chicken may be able to heal himself soon. Gets off the silence onto Eternal Levy. The roar comes out, going on to Fenrir. Immediately taken off with the Aphotic Shield. Now they have the Oracle save, but it might not be enough as a huge Sonic Wave hits. And it's only going to be Lonum and Death Prophet who are able to keep themselves relatively healthy. Lonum again just being kited around time and time again. Ice battling up against Eternal Levy, but he knows this is a fight he just can't win. Has to run himself away while the OD is able to get Death Prophet.
And Arteezy is so very farmed at this point. He's got a Blink Dagger, the Drums of Endurance, and very close to a Veil of Discord.
I mean, when you look at the fights,
Okay, Arteezy. Does you want to try and walk away from that one? Ice.
that
Take
was
the ultimate.
75 in stolen. You're not going to fight that hero. And the crazy part is that in some ways, whenever the OD sees the Abaddon, he's like, I'm very happy about this. Even with your ultimate pop, I don't care. I'll heal you to full as long as I steal like 40 in.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And we're seeing in many of these fights, the ultimate isn't even needed for Secret to just be able to run over EHOME.
Tiny 200 off his Blink Dagger still. There is a mechanism up on Bounty now, however.
I guess that adds some flavor to your team fights and makes you a little bit more tanky, but I still think their primary problem is they just can't burst anybody down. Secret almost always get all of their abilities off as a result of these fights. You have to make this fight 4v5 if you're EHOME, almost instantly. The only heroes that you can really do that to, the Lion or the Doom, but we saw how hard it was for them to lock down Puppey to begin with.
A full out pipe for Eternal Levy. He's going to make sure he never gives up a track kill to EHOME.
Not your typical Queen of Pain build.
Yeah, I guess he just thinks that they don't really lack for damage, which they don't. And they've got the Veil of Discord now too, to go along with it.
Okay, the setup for this fight might actually be good. Ice is going to be able to spot out some of these heroes. They jump forward, already getting Primal Roar. That's going to be no Oracle Ultimate to be able to save Old Chicken as he's being targeted down by the OT. That means he's going to fall so quickly. The Invotic Shield is just not enough against the Finger of Death. Lonham, yes, he's healing up, but he's doomed. He can't help his allies, so they leave him for last. He's the dessert as the rest of EHOME was consumed by Secret for dinner. 18 minutes in, and Secret seem on the verge of just being able to go high ground.
And 25-9 already. Secret, EHOME already had the same idea. They immediately smoke into each other, but you notice that this time around, Universe, right on top of things, he immediately ults the Oracle with absolutely no time. That team fight synergy from start to finish. Arteezy gets rid of Lonham in that fight too.
Oh no!
Wow, that's 85 hints.
Good lord, why Arteezy?
Yeah, you made an extremely good point on the case of Abaddon with borrowed time and how Arteezy just loves stealing all his intelligence.
Secret just looks so on top of things.
They try and get some harassment shuriken damage, but it's not much. Lonham, he's even going for the deny. They actually jump in now with Old 11. Oh, they actually get the toss back, but there is the imprisonment save, and Old 11, he may be dropped here from Arteezy. He comes in, Eternal Levy misses the Sonic Wave on Old 11, but he hits the rest of EHOME, allowing Arteezy to be able to triumph here and take one. The Death Prophet goes down, and he's coming back with life number 2. EHOME regrouping now, wondering whether or not they can initiate, but Eternal Levy, he says, you want to initiate? I'll initiate on you instead, forcing EHOME back to the fountain, while Secret casually take that ranged Rax on their way out.
27-9. I thought that last score was going to be rough, but this one's even more brutal.
Oracle Ultimate, is that even going to be enough to save? Arteezy hits so damn hard, he's going to be able to take Old 11 even if Lonham doesn't drop. Barely keeps himself alive underneath the fountain.
And they're just being beaten back right now, and EHOME, they just don't have heroes that can punish this kind of aggression. Like, they're diving them nearly to their fountain, and still nothing's being done about it. Puppey even buying a hood for himself at this point. Not even really caring about the lack of item efficiency.
Last game, Secret really took their time to make sure they had the biggest net worth lead they could before they went high ground. This time around, they're not dropping a beat. They keep on going. As the cooldown's already back up, the Doom placed on Lonham, and the team will be able to take one of those racks, but they have to back out now. This is where EHOME really have to catch something, but again, time and time again, we keep saying they have no catch. They don't have the disables. They don't have anything to stop Secret from retreating.
Is that a new trend we're gonna see now from Secret, that they've discovered this Hood of Defiance and the active where it creates a spell shield?
Oh, Ice thought he was just gonna be scouting. Pilot Eye leads him right into the trap. Will be able to provide the disables, has the Finger of Death ready to go. Shuriken stops it for a second, but a second is not enough. Ice loses his life, and now EHOME retreat to the high ground. Lonham, his ultimate pop now. He is exposed. EHOME are going to try and turn this one around. Old 11 sitting on the side here. They've been silenced up Eternal Levy. They're going to go for it, but the Avalanche misses. He managed to get the blink away. And now they turn towards Puppey instead. But again, the movement speed, he just runs right through him. See you later. Lonham dropping lower and lower. Doesn't have the ultimate to be able to save him. Fenrir provides some of the heals, though. But it's going to be Arteezy, the heavy hitter. He's going to have his Blink Dagger ready to go soon. Blinks the wrong direction. Doesn't get an imprisonment on anybody. Slow down. Old 11 jumps in. Tries to grab Eternal Levy, but it's just not enough. Old Chicken to be targeted here by Arteezy. They don't have any disabled to stop him. He just keeps right-clicking away. He doesn't give a damn about the Oracle Ultimate, as Old Chicken will be able to survive thanks to the Spirit Siphon and the heals during that Oracle ult. But that is still more spells on cooldown for EHOME. So Old 11 tries to go back in, ends up getting juked out. Photic Shields will be able to provide him some saves. Puppey's just trying to close that gap, though, with the Infernal Blade. Turns on Lonham. Instead, the imprisonment goes out. Ice. Comes back here, but Primal Roar taken out 2-shot by Arteezy. EHOME, even underneath their fountain, they can only take so much. Secret seem to have an unlimited amount of damage. They've taken a second lane of ranks. The only thing that's stopping them from being able to get Megas at this point is that there's still a tier 1 at the bottom lane.
It's gotta be such a frustrating game to play for the EHOME roster as well, just seeing the enemy run around them. They're just running circles around them. Doombringer and Queen of Pain especially in the start of that fight. They just taunt them.
Not really sure what EHOME is supposed to do in this situation. Things aren't getting easier.
Dire's bottom
They're staying in this game so far just to try to keep their tournament hopes alive. Maybe hope that Secret just gets way too over-aggressive, but
Arteezy found another pick off. Old 11 was too far forward. Arteezy jumps forward, grabs him with the imprisonment. They're going to try and run him down, and they get him in the end. Arteezy reads it. The OD ultimate drops, finishes off Old 11. There goes their primary initiator. There also goes their primary disabler. And EHOME looking a little bit bewildered as to how they're going to be able to stop this final push of Team Secret. And it just doesn't seem possible. Puppey casually runs in, takes him out of the fight entirely with the Doom. Arteezy keeps running forward. He saved one hero. He's going to target the next. Takes out the Oracle. Now turns his attention onto Old Chicken, waiting on him as his ultimate's going to end up going down soon. Another GG. This time 33-9, make it 34. And a casual 35 pickup before the throne explodes as Secret, they drop down the losers bracket nice and early. People were rather surprised, but now against EHOME, they take two of the most dominant games yet.
that series lasted altogether maybe an hour, draft included. It just felt like they got absolutely rolled here from the pick phase
That's
on.
because they got absolutely rolled here.
This was just fast. Not a whole lot that EHOME could do, even with the success of Ice 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 roaming around. That Bounty Hunter was incredibly effective. We saw that he was able to get to level 6 early on, but they just couldn't turn it into anything.
We were talking about yesterday how Empire won the game against Secret rather than Secret just losing it. I think as much as Secret won this game, it was also EHOME just almost wanting to lose it, both through the draft and how they played it as well. It's just not what we've come to expect from these star players from China.
Yeah, certainly EHOME got to be a whirlwind of emotions after losing this series so quickly. Have a lot to think about as they go home, but Secret will move on in this tournament, and we're going to see them in the future. But for now, we are going to have a break while we wait for our next series to start. Stick around, guys. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everyone. We just wrapped up match number 2 of the day. It was the elimination match of Group B, and we did see Team Secret very single-handedly winning 2-0, taking over EHOME and moving on to the decider match. Before we go deeper into the analysis and see how Secret was able to pull that off, we're actually going to go over to the stage. Ari, right now on stage with none other than Puppy to see what he has to say about that match.
All right. Thank you so much, Chobra. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Team Secret. Come on, here we go. Puppy, congratulations, man. I mean, you see lots of love here, of course, by the fans. You can see that. All right, give Puppy some love, ladies and gentlemen. Good, there you go. Really quick, how do you feel coming in the Philippines? How do you find the Filipino crowd? And just give us your thoughts on the last game really quick.
I gotta try some more Filipino food.
Have you tried, because I saw on the page that you wanted to try balut. Did you try balut?
I don't know. Looks very hardcore, but maybe we'll do it one day.
Who has balut right now? Who has balut? Right now? No, I'm just kidding. Puppy.
Probably nobody.
There could be, you never know. Puppy look worried. Okay, really quick, coming from yesterday to today, man, like everyone here, I mean, the reaction speaks for itself. Can you give a little bit of thoughts on that?
It's more enjoyable to play in front of a crowd. So, thank you.
It's you guys. It's you guys. And how do you feel about Universe and RTZ's performance?
I think they also like the crowd kind of like yelling and the power of whatever the crowd gives you. So I would say like on stage we play a little bit better than kind of like just sitting in our rooms kind of playing Dota. So yeah, I think we've shaped up from yesterday. They're doing good.
Very much so. So as you heard it, Secret likes it when they have a crowd with them. Who wants to be a permanent crowd? Like, see? They'll do it. They'll just go around you wherever you are and just start yelling for you. Like all that. We'll do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, obviously you're feeling the love. I'm not gonna make it a little bit longer, but you're feeling the love from everyone. Who wants to show some love to Poppy right now? Who wants to show some love? Facial expression, show some love. Show some love right now. Who wave as much as possible? Right there with the blue. Right there in the blue. Just stay there. Just let the facial expression right there, there he is, in the blue. There you go, you there, buddy. Zoom into him, zoom into his face. There you go. Show Puppy how much.
9, man.
Where the dude with? Go. Which one? You pick him. You pick.
The dude with the 9 on his shirt.
The dude with the 9 on his shirt. The dude with the 9 on his shirt. Where is he at? Where is he at? Raise your hand. You see him? You see him? That guy, there he is. Look how much, look how excited. Come here. Come here, come here. Come here. Come here. He's going nuts. He's going nuts. This is the moment. Look, he's crying. He's crying. He cannot take it. He's like, oh my God. It's just like in the movies. It's just like in the movies. It's about to go down. It's about to go down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we do it in the Philippines. That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so thank you so much. He's emotional, he's emotional. All right, so thank you. Puppy, make some noise for Puppy, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the experts. Chobra, guys, take it away.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you, Puppy. Of course, congratulations to you and your team. You know you have a great crowd when all you say is, I want to eat more food in the Philippines, and people love you. So great to be here in Manila. But hey, let's talk about the performance a little bit. I mean, a bit of a 180 for them. Them winning, not necessarily a surprise, but in this fashion, 2 games in a row, regardless of whether EHOME made mistakes or not, that's got to be pretty impressive.
That was just complete dominance. I mean, we talked about the first game, maybe a bit of it's just the nature of a draw into strategy. This game, it was just, they just stomped EHOME. That was not even close.
Yeah, they even did some aggressive diving things. They jumped under tower. It was probably negative. They got killed as well under the tower. Pilot Die was level 3 at level 11 minutes. which normally would be kind of a bad thing, but it all turned out in the end. They still consistently got kills, they built super efficient items, and they transitioned well.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, watching this game and this dominance, do you think this is something that people can continue to expect as a performance from this team, or was it also just kind of a one-time thing because of how it matched up against EHOME today?
It was an easy matchup versus EHOME, I suppose. Like when we saw Empire, like they just had a completely different play style, and they felt very comfortable with what they ran. But there were some very unusual things, like the hood pick up on the Queen of Pain. We were talking about in the back. It's like, it's the Orb of Venom counter.
It's good against the tiny combo.
Yeah, the
sure.
Oracle. I mean, it was all pretty good, but it was just something different that we haven't seen. Yesterday was just way more standard.
Yeah, as we take a look at the replays, I mean, you know, you guys were talking about both teams too, kind of, you know, which player was playing which hero. It seemed like there were some change-ups on both sides that were a little, you know, you guys had questions, not necessarily questionable, but you guys were wondering what the choice was. But for Secret, it definitely worked out in the end.
Yeah. For EHOME, to me, the one like key timing this game was the Tiny Blink Dagger. You look at like what EHOME's draft is going to do come like that mid-game timing. It's having Tiny initiate with a Blink combo. You get the track gold through Tiny just bursting heroes down, and the Blink Dagger just came up way too late for Old 11 to really be effective this game, and that was to me like the main concern for EHOME. Like looking back on this game, it's like you needed to dedicate more space, more farm towards Old 11's Tiny.
Do you think they just laned it wrong? I mean, it started in a bit of a weird lane there.
Even a 1v1, like in theory, like yeah, he's in the off lane, but he's actually able to get some farm.
I think their draft was too defensive, though. Like you have an Abaddon. Like how are you supposed to get kills and capitalize
Abaddon
on the
and Oracle?
Yeah.
Like
they need track kills, right? And it just seemed like they were able to survive, but you just give OD a ton more int, and then he just destroys your whole team. So I was like, I don't really see where the strategy was supposed to come together.
It was something we talked about when we saw the Abaddon, like, oh, there's some kind of overlap there with the Oracle. Does it really matter, or is it just like a backup plan? But you can't just play purely defensively in the current metagame. You need to be the ones, you want to be the aggressors. More often than not, we're seeing the aggressors come out on top.
And you definitely saw that in their item builds as well. I mean, this is really the tournament where almost every single core has been buying Ring of Aquila, and it's kind of confusing, but it does give you a lot of value for what you buy for. And I think a lot of teams, now that they really understand the patch well, they're worried about the comeback mechanics. They still exist in the game, and they still can be significant. So if you looked at all of Secret's item purchases, they bought a lot of stuff that wasn't fully efficient for offensive capabilities, like RTZ getting Veil on OD. It doesn't actually increase his orb damage as the ultimate. So in some ways, it's kind of an inefficient item, but it instantly gives him a ton of stats. Like almost all their cores bought drums. They all got Aquilas, and then afterwards they got more items that were just exactly what they needed. Hoods essentially give you, it's 2,000 gold and it gives you 400 HP against magic damage, plus the resistance and the regen. They bought everything that was as efficient as possible so that they won every fight. I mean, it works great if you never lose a fight, but if you do go even or lose a fight, then it's a bad item choice. But they just never lost the fight.
I think the biggest problem was the OD pick, though, because like the longer the fight draws on, like look at him at 55, like 60, 65, and like there's no way you can stand up to him at that point in time. Like Abaddon's ult actually just works against him because he can just steal more intel, and too many of the fights he was just around the back, just staying alive to the very, very end, and they had no way to just eliminate him from the fight. I think if it were, I don't know, pretty much any other core, it would have been much easier for EHOME to not get crushed.
Well, EHOME's entire draft was, like you say, built around having these long, extended fights.
Right.
It's like, let's keep everyone alive. We've got this Oracle. We want to get the full duration of the exorcism so we can get as many, like, just slow, drawn-out kills, but that's, like, OD's dream right there, so.
Yeah, a very idealistic view from EHOME. Like, if they got that, sure, maybe. But it was like that one thing.
It was a cool idea.
There we go. I like it. I like your optimism. But yeah, I mean, because I have Nox giving me kind of notes on what replays are potentially getting picked out here. And in the first match, right, it always says like, oh, it's like Swindle's going for this play or whatnot. You know a game is one-sided when the list literally just doesn't even mention the team. And it's just like bottom dive, top jungle fight. It's like 3 kills. I'm like, oh, I wonder which team got those 3. I mean, that's just how dominant Secret was in that game, leading and then going and taking the 2-0. Now they're going, but they're not, again, I mean, even when Complexity, we kind of made it sound as if like, great job, you're like done for the day. No, you still got to play that decider match. So both teams can't let their guard down just yet. Still have to fight for their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the second match of the day. Before we go to a break and before we start seeing who the second seeds are of each group, we're going to go over to the stage with Ari for another moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have with me Ice Ice Ice. Give him a round of applause. Shobra, thank you. Make some noise for Ice Ice Ice, ladies and gentlemen. You want to say anything, buddy?
What?
You want to say anything to the fans?
Mahal kita.
Mahal kita. Kita is one person, all right? That could be me. It's okay. But or kayo, mahal ko kayo, mahal ko kayo.
Salamat po.
Thank you. Yes. So, Ice, we heard that you've been through a little bit of food poisoning. We're sorry about that. Are you okay?
Yeah, still alive.
Still alive. He's still alive, as you can see. All right, really quick, we're gonna make this. The fans have prepared something for you. Okay, this is like something, of course, that they put together. It is right here. Okay, it's in this bag. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is from the fans to Ice 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 here in the Philippines. This is, it's like you're scared. What is it? Is it gonna bite? No, it's fine. Here it is. These are boxer shorts with dedications right there. Ladies and gentlemen, would you take the box? Don't worry, they're washed. They're washed. It's okay. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, boxer shorts for Ice. You want to read? You want to read what's on it? Okay. Oh, that look. That's. Okay, look at the back. It says "Put tank in a mall." Put tank. We're not gonna say that fast because we're on TV. Okay, really quick. Can we zoom into the middle? Zoom into the middle area. Look what it says. Look what that says. I feel your heartbeat. This is how we do it in the Philippines, yeah. Yeah, well, but ladies and gentlemen, from the fans to you, how do you like it? Is this something you might wear?
I'll wait tomorrow.
He'll wear it tomorrow! You're gonna wear it tomorrow?
Yeah, but I'm gonna wash it tonight.
All right, he's gonna wash it today and wear it tomorrow. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Ice Ice Ice. Thank you so much for coming. You guys at EHOME, thank you very much, sir. We're gonna take it to break and we're gonna be ready for our next match. Thank you so much. Ice, you gotta bring it back. It's